Hello again, friends. As we face the largest ecological crisis of our time, society is struggling to find a new collective worldview, one that will unite humanity around a new understanding of our relationship to the earth. In this second part of our 13-part series, we examine the issue through the eyes of Karen Krug. Karen Krug has studied many issues of social ecology. Today, we speak with her about her Canadian agricultural roots.
So you grew up on a farm in Saskatchewan. Tell me what that was like.
Well, growing up on a prairie farm has shaped my life and my attitude towards the environment. I developed an appreciation for the natural world and a deeply rooted love for the prairie. I lived daily with the land and the sky. I ate raspberries straight from the cane. They were sweet and delicious. I loved looking up to a sky punctuated by a million tiny pinpricks of stars or dominated by a harvest moon. I remember spending hot, dry summers roaming the fields and exploring bluffs and cold but sunny winters building fortresses against blizzards or cross-country skiing over frozen expanses of prairie, of being able to see the sun rise or set across the heavenly palette every single day. These experiences of agrarian life led me to idealize the relationship between farm life and concern for the environment. However, I eventually had to come to terms with the way pragmatic farming decisions sometimes would conflict with a more idealistic relationship with nature.
From Karen's response, we can infer that her knowledge arises from her childhood experiences. But that's not enough. We also hear evidence of her use of observation, intuition, and reflection.
So what value do you see in the land?
Well, although I recognize how presumptuous it is to buy and sell nature's spaces as our own, my experiences confirm that long-term tenure provides the opportunity for development of the deeply rooted sense of place. It is the utilitarian relationship with land that leads to the closeness with nature. It is through working with the land, not being a passive observer of it, that one becomes tuned in with the natural world. We need to know where and how food is grown. We need to be intimate with nature and have a humble appreciation for our place in the wider ecosystem.
It is obvious that Karen believes she is both a part of and apart from nature. She has fostered a rich awareness of the natural world, specifically the ability to see diversity where others might only see the emptiness and monotony of the prairies.
Did you notice any changes in the way your father farmed from the time you were growing up till now?
Absolutely. There were a myriad of changes. There were myriad changes on the farm. While my grandfather farmed, mixed farming was commonplace. Horses were the principal energy source, manure was used as fertilizer, and chemical for weed and pest control were unimagined. In my father's lifetime, the emphasis shifted away from mixed farming to cereal crop production, then gradually expanded to include oil, seeds, and pulses. There was a complete transition to mechanization and fossil fuels dependence, and pesticide and herbicide use became commonplace. One summer, I stood to mark the place in the field for my father so that he would know where he had sprayed.
Doodaloo! 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 Karen, honey, I'm coming through on my tractor. Can you stand and mark where I sprayed?
Sure, Dad.
I remember the time my dad got his first gas-powered weed whacker.
Doodaloo! Doodaloo!
Karen's passion lies in her belief in the intrinsic value of the earth. However, her history on the farm belies her appreciation of what the land provides for the utility of humanity. But sadly, since her youth, the degree of domination over nature by agriculture has increased dramatically.
So what is your moral compass? What is really guiding you?
Well, Agriculture needs to be pragmatic, not exploitive. Namely, its idealistic potential to create bonds between humans and nature, and it's pragmatic to supply humans with food energy. Stan Rowe, a great influence and essayist on agriculture and ecology, once said, "To imitate nature, to join her and be bound to her, rather than seeking always to transform her, is the goal that could rescue the race from barbarism and darkness." All said in the spirit of an ecological ethic.
Okay, so what are your thoughts for the future now?
I hope we'll be among many who take steps towards developing an agrarian consciousness. Let's go forward to craft home places where food grows in abundance. The ecosystem is crawling with complexity, and communion with nature is a daily ritual. Ultimately, to enhance and pass on to another generation of legacies and agrarian life would help us to recover one historically important avenue for raising environmental consciousness.
Karen is a strong advocate about changing the future of agriculture towards a more sustainable practice of farming. It holds promise as a means to reconnect a large proportion of people to nature, while providing high-quality food for humans without unduly disrupting the natural ecosystem. In summary, Karen displays tendencies towards an ecocentric worldview, laced with nuances of anthropocentrism. Thank you for joining me. Next week, we will be talking to esteemed academic Dr. Heather Eaton about her controversial piece entitled The Revolution of Evolution. Until then, remember, we are Earth walking.